Hey Clashers, we get balance changes in Clash of Clans, and this means the strongest troops are getting nerfed and the weaker defenses are getting buffed. As well, we take a look at the hit rate stats, which means are those nerfs and balance changes in general justified, or is Supercell getting back to Town Hall 15 with making things way too hard for the normal Clasher? But let's start things off with the favorite troop, which is pretty much in every single attack. And that is one thing, that's right, the Root Rider. It's right now everywhere, so this thing is going to be nerfed yet again. Because it was released in the beginning with 8,000 hit points total. That was already reduced to 7,400, but it did not really do that much. Root Riders were still incredibly strong, even with the latest update of adding new defensive level into the game. Well, this means Supercell is nerfing them yet again. A great thing though, with this approach right now Supercell is taking, they're taking little steps. So always a small nerf, then taking a look at the stats again, a small nerf, taking a look at the stats again, and then deciding if another nerf is necessary. Apparently the stats are too high, which means Root Riders are going to have another 400 hit points reduced. Obviously, the level 1 and 2 is getting nerfed accordingly as well. But level 3 is down to 7,000 hit points now. On top of that, the DPS is going to be decreased as well, which is not 250 anymore, but instead 230 on the highest level. Level 1 and 2 are getting as well reduced accordingly based on DPS nerf. Which means DPS and HP nerf for the Root Riders. Is that going to be a big problem? Well, they're still going to be probably really strong. As I said, we just take a look at some stats in a second to really take and understand why Supercell is using this nerf method and if it's going to have a big impact. Because there's another nerf happening to the Root Riders, but more indirectly. And we're talking about the Apprentice Warden. This thing right now, after the Channel 16 update, became one of the strongest troops in the game. Which might sound confusing, because in the beginning when it was released, it was really bad. What does it do though? Well, it's adding 30% hit points to a troop which is close by. The problem though, when it was released, it did not stack with the life aura of the original Warden, like your hero. And that made it kinda useless. But now with the equipment options, you can go for whatever you want with your Warden. Rage aura, healing aura, I don't know, like the fireball, anything. So having the life aura then not anymore on the Warden, you can use the Apprentice Warden instead and have a great way of still making your troops super tanky. So because of that, this Apprentice Warden troop is getting nerfed because it's just too strong after the Town Hall 16 update. So instead of having on level 4 a 30% hit point boost, it's going down to 26%. It's not the craziest nerf whatsoever, but it is for sure a little change. For level 3, this is going down to 24%. On level 2, it's 22%. On level 1, the Apprentice Warden is getting overall 20% bonus to your troops. Which means a small nerf for the Apprentice Warden, but I think that's justified for sure with how strong it was. And I'm saying that even though I'm using the troop in my Super Witch army right now. But there is more, which means the troops are done, but there is a pet which is a little bit too strong right now. That's right, it is the Spirit Fox. The Spirit Fox is getting nerfed as well, but the invisibility duration is not getting touched. Don't worry about that. But instead staying 5 seconds visible, it's now going to be 6 seconds. This means the Fox and the Royal Champion can now take damage for 1 more second during each rotation of invisibility into visibility. So this means it's a small nerf as well, obviously, but as well, it's not the biggest thing in the world. It's just going to be a small nerf to make sure that the Spirit Fox is more in line with the other hero pets, because I felt like right now the Spirit Fox, that thing was just too strong. Even though I love the Fox, I love the design, but sometimes you have to admit that you maybe love something because it's just so strong. But moving forward, we have a buff as well. But that is happening to a defense because the Multi-Arch Tower was not the strongest merge defense in the game. The Ricochet Cannon did some crazy work, but the Multi-Arch Tower was kind of underwhelming. So because of that, Supercell is increasing the DPS of this defense. It's again a small change, but it's going to be a change nonetheless, because instead of having 120 DPS, it's going to be 130. And on level 1, it's going to be 120 instead of 110 DPS. So a small 10 DPS overall, which is quite nice, I guess, to make the defense a little more worth it, especially to merge it together from 2 Archer Towers, which otherwise could have been argued were stronger than the Multi-Archer Tower with having some other really nice options to build your bases around. But those are the balance changes. We have the Root Riders getting weaker, the Apprentice Warden weaker, and as well the Spirit Fox with the Multi-Arch Tower getting stronger again. Now I see it already. It's a lot of now strength for the defense. But let's take a look at some numbers to see if all of those nerfs and changes are justified. And let's start things off with the success rate, the 3-star rate, the 2-star, 1-star, and 0-star rate of the Clan War League in the February season. This was before the first Root Rider nerf. This was before the latest update of the new defense level. We had a success rate of overall 55% in Champion 1, while for example in Master it was around the 30% mark. But now we need some other stats as well to compare this. So what happened now after the February update? Well, we had the Root Rider nerf and we had the new defensive level. Did the hit rate go down? Well, the hit rates even went up, surprisingly enough, because I did not expect this either. I thought the hit rates would go down, but instead we had even some improvements of hit rates, which is really crazy considering that we had new level for the defense and the Root Riders were nerfed. And even though this is not a hit rate for specific Root Rider attacks, if you take a look at your defense log in Clan War League, you see most people are using the Root Riders. So they're having for sure an impact on the overall hit rate. And, well, still, the hit rate went up. One big important thing, though, which you have to mention, is that most people that obviously were jamming had not the new defenses. So I guess this number would go down a little bit by a few percentages if everyone has the new defenses. So instead of having maybe 57, it would be down to maybe 54, 53 maybe, but not too crazy. But now, as well, everyone is remembering the Town Hall 16 times, but do you remember the numbers as well? Because those were even more crazy. Because take a look at this. This is Town Hall 15 as well in February, so you can perfectly compare this. And it has half the hit rate, and maybe even a third of the hit rate for like Champion 3. It is crazy if you compare those. The difference is mind-blowing, and I can fully understand why a lot of people were saying, I just quit the game is way too hard. Games most of the time have to be enjoyable. And if you don't 3-star, it's not really that enjoyable. And if the top players having a 26% hit rate, well, that is a little bit crazy. So we have now two extremes. I'm not saying that a 57% hit rate on the highest level is healthy, but I'm not saying that a 26% healthy either. So we have to find something in between. A lot of people were mentioning Town Hall 14, so I thought, let's just compare Town Hall 14 because we have all of those stats. And at this point, I really want to give a big shout out to ClashSpot, which is the website where I'm getting all of those numbers from. And if you want to get your own impression, make sure to visit that website as well. I have a link down below. But let's move on to the Town Hall 14 hit rates and see what we can learn out of those. Because those numbers are kinda in between of everything which you have seen so far. On the highest level, 42%, and then it's going lower up to like around about like to 20% on Master level. What do I expect now with the balance changes which we just announced for today for Clash of Clans? Well, I think that we're still going to be way above this hit rate of Town Hall 14. I think now we'll expect something between 45% hit rate to 50%, maybe even still higher. I mean, I'm not really sure how much impact the Root Rider nerf really has, but this is my speculation, okay? It's for Champion 1, something like 45% to 50% roundabout, which is still considered really high. As well, then for the other Town Hall, for the other Master Leagues and everything, I think still it's going to be way higher than Town Hall 14 compared then to what we just have seen. So overall, I think people, you guys should not get too afraid. The hit rates are still quite high in the different leagues for sure, and that's pretty much the stats I was able to find. If you think I'm wrong with this, let me know down below in the comments, and let me know as well why I'm wrong. Let me know if you have found any different numbers, but I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you are looking forward to whenever something new is happening in the game and you want to stay up to date, make sure that you follow the channel. Thank you so much for that, and I will see you guys back tomorrow with the next Clash video. Until then, see ya, and bye-bye.